We're in the month of Glow Up, and I will acknowledge that when I saw the title, The Holy Land is Everywhere, I thought, what does that have to do with Glow Up? It felt like a jump for me. Anybody with me on that? Like, oh, Leslie just popped this in the middle of a month, and no one knows what she's doing. That part, I'm with you there. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, oh, recognizing that the Holy Land is everywhere is a glow up on the inside. See, I'm a little too chronically online. And a glow up, if you're on, Instagram or TikTok, is a makeover. You have a glow up, you got the right haircut, maybe added highlights, added some lashes. But we're talking about a glow up on the inside, a glow up in how we relate to life itself, on the inside of ourselves, and then with that inner glow up, how we relate out in the world. Now, the Holy Land, that can be some triggering language. Everybody take a breath. What constitutes the Holy Land is different depending on who you are, your religion of origin, your nationality, your ethnic travels, where you've been in the world, and what you believe. Many of us here, having grown up in the United States, I think Jerusalem is the Holy Land. I grew up Catholic. Everyone I knew wanted to go to the Holy Land and walk those steps. And I know with our friends who came from the Jewish tradition, the same. But some other folks might be thinking Mecca, or places I've never even heard of, particular mountains, beautiful spaces. And all of that is true. Jerusalem is holy, Mecca is holy. The mountains that our first Native Americans are fighting to keep sacred are holy. But so is everything else. The song Jackie just sang, everything is sacred. Oh, we talk about it all the time, don't we? Here at the New Vision Center. Everything and everyone have the divine built right into us because that's how we're made. And then certain words pop up, and we're back in the old thinking. We're back in the thinking that is part of our culture. It's the language that's used on television and in the books we read. And it can be a challenge to stay in that glow up of this fresh way of hearing these words and what they mean to us. So I thought we better look at what holy means before I get a whole bunch of people talking to me about too much Bible. You can shake your hands at me now and save yourself the email later. Excellent. So holy means, according to the particular dictionary I opened, dedicated or consecrated to deity, sacred. Well, then we better check out what sacred means. Regarded with great respect and reverence by a particular religion, group, or individual. It's awfully related to the word stewardship we were talking about last month. Taking special care and attention of that which we find important, regarded with great respect and reverence by an individual. So that which we choose to put our attention and care on is, by our own personal definition, sacred. We decide what is sacred. And by deciding what is sacred, we inherently decide what is holy. And that answer may be different for each person. And that's not only okay, it's good. So how do I get from here to the Holy Land is everywhere? Well, my answer is Ernest Holmes, as it often is. But I think most every philosophy will get us there. So the first step is recognizing that the holiness, the sacredness, is in the all. And this is the most classic, basic Science of Mind lesson. New friends, if you've not heard anything from Science of Mind before, this is a great first Sunday to be here. Because at the heart of Science of Mind, this philosophy that was designed to be a philosophical overlay over any religion and does not supersede any religion, what it says is, at the heart, there is this consciousness that we call the divine, God, Spirit, the universe, Claude, whatever name you choose. And that and I call it because it's non-gendered in all the genders, so choose the pronoun of your preference. It doesn't care what we call it. It isn't a being of preference. It's a being of creation. It takes our thoughts and our ideas and our energy and it manifests it out into the world because that is the only way it can show up, is through its creation. And who are its creation? We are, all of us. Every single person everywhere is made out of this divinity. So to say it in shorthand, God is all there is. This energy that only wants us to express. That's really the only rule. Express in a way that is life-affirming. Has made everyone and everything everywhere. So inherently, everything is sacred. Everything is holy. This platform that someone built is holy, made of wood that God grew as trees, and carpet that some brilliant scientist figured out to make chemicals that was extruded into string and was woven by people into this carpet. And these lights and these televisions and these beloved humans, all equally sacred, all equally holy. And we know this. I can't tell you how many people have come and listened to one or two talks here and thought, I've always thought that. I didn't know anybody else thought that. Let alone that they gathered in a little club every Sunday and I could go there and then we have food after. Delightful, fantastic. I think that there's a part of us that just really gets that there's something truly magically sacred in every single person and everything that is. And then here comes culture again, right? And I hear things like, not calling anybody out here, but we had our Gallapalooza last night, one of many that we've had. And we all got dressed up to whatever our version of up to the nines was. And I wore a dress, everyone, it had so much cleavage. I mean, use what you got, right? And I heard from a few friends, I'm kind of surprised you would wear that to a church event. And I thought, do you not know who we are? We're not that kind of church. And it brought to mind for me how quickly we slide back into this, there is sacred and there is profane. There is spiritual and then there's the world, right? Because a lot of faiths and traditions teach that there's this divide, and your idea is to want to move into the sacred and away from the worldly corruption, the darkness. Well, that's not what we believe here. There is no sacred and profane divide. We are sacred, and therefore everywhere we go and everything we do and every plunging V-neck we wear is inherently sacred. Now, my husband's nodding emphatically. He thought the dress was very sacred. It just reminds us how quickly we can slide back into that old way of thinking. But truly, everything that we choose to experience, and it is a choice, everything we choose to experience as sacred becomes holy. Everything. Now, it always was, but we can't always see it unless we decide, unless we choose to see it that way. We still breathing out there? So once we begin to recognize that it's already done, we don't need to make anything holy, it's already done. It's cooked into the batter, right? If God is all there is, then God is all there is. Or if Claude is all there is, then Claude is all there is. And we have to be made of it. There isn't anything else to be made of. and that it's true for everyone, then we get to begin to see it in others. We get to really hone in on that beautiful spark that makes each person completely unique, a fresh individualization of the divine intelligence making itself known as Sid. What a delight. What would the world be without a Sid? I can't bear the thought. And it's true for each and every single person, not just in this room, not just in this teaching, not just in this nation, but everyone. And yes, the but not person that rose up in your mind, especially that person. Especially that person. In the story, in whether you call it the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. Oh, more wagging. Let's get the wags out. The story is that God appeared to Moses as a burning bush that could never be consumed. Well, that'll sure get your attention, right? That'll sure get your attention. I found this beautiful quote from Margaret Silf, who's an Ignatian teacher. She's a presenter on the Ignatian expression, which is a form of mystic Catholicism. And she wrote, "We stand before a burning bush whenever other human beings share with us something of their relationship with God or something of the movements of their heart. In such moments, may we always realize that we stand on holy ground. Whether it is a deep conversation or the moment of watching Jackie tear up just a little bit while singing that song and knowing how much it was touching her heart to sing it, or the fun time on Friday night, or heading into the holidays with family and friends, we get to decide. I cannot say enough times that it is a choice. We can stay in the chit-chat and the fluff. Sure you can. We've all done it. Or you can decide, without needing to change a single word you speak, to see whatever grandma is sharing about her latest knitting project as the creativity of the divine in form in the world, to see her as a burning bush, to hear the words of your favorite third grader as the most sacred text of all time. The only thing that changes is what we are paying attention to and how important we think it is, like that little bee in the Mary Oliver poem. Sometimes I am afraid to admit, but it is true that when I see that bee, I go, ah, a bee. Instead of wondering the great mystery of how that little thing manages to gather all that pollen and sip all that nectar and still fly. How they build a life of meaning and productivity and empowerment in 3 weeks. There's a lot of wondering to be done there. When we treat our relationships as sacred, they become sacred. They become holy. I think it really comes down to the tiny moments, and gratitude for them and noticing. Our little granddaughter was over yesterday. She's about this tall now. And she is on the move. Somebody has to be right behind her all the time because she is on the move. And she has a new phrase, and she used it about 400 times yesterday. And it was, I know. Ellie, stay away from the stairs. I know, as her first step goes under the stairs. Ellie, don't bother the dogs. I know, as she presses her face against the sliding glass door. And those of you who know my dog knows he could probably go through that door if he really wanted to. Uff, 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 she says, as she barks back at the dogs. I know. Towards the end of the evening, she was a little bit hungry. And so we got out some yogurt for her. It was my favorite yogurt, News Vanilla Bean. Oh, so good. And so we're feeding her this yogurt, and she'd had enough, but of course she wants more because it's sweet, it's good, right? And Claire, her mama, says, that's enough. This is Grammy's yogurt, and we need to leave some for her for breakfast. And she said, I know, and then grabbed the whole thing. This is a child who knows how to appreciate what she likes. She was over the moon about vanilla yogurt, just as I was over the moon about that toddling little genius saying, I know, about 100 times. We decide what is holy. That little voice, to me, is the most sacred sound in the world. $1 billion or an afternoon with Ellie, no question. And we found out today, and I can tell you because I can't tell any of my family until Thanksgiving, she's about to get a sibling. No one call my mom. Something magical happens when we really anchor in to seeing that divine truth in others as we begin to really feel it in ourselves. We all know, even our new friends, because they learned at the beginning of the talk, we all know that if God is all there is, then what are we made of? God stuff. There isn't anything else. If you're following this philosophy and you decide, all right, I'm all in, I'm going with the logic, then we are each divine. And we hear that and we think about, oh, that means you're divine, and that means you're divine, and that means you're divine, and it means this is where the rubber hits the road. It means that we are each divine, even in our blunders, even when we make a mistake, even when what we thought was loving wasn't received that way. We are inherently built of divine goodness, inherently, without having to do a single thing. And then here comes culture again. Oh, it's noisy, this culture thing, man. I'd say turn it off, but it's too funny. Got to watch the show. But the voice that comes up is, I'm not good enough to call myself holy. Or people will say to me, no, that's your job. You're the minister. You're the holy one. That's not for me. And it's just not true. So if there's one thing you can shake off today, see if you can peel away one layer of that, but not me because I made that mistake. Not me because I hurt that person's feelings. Not me because it just can't be. It can. It is. You couldn't take it off if you tried. You couldn't take it off if you tried. Many of you may know that I am as much as I'm chronicling online, I'm an analog calendar person. I still carry my planner to the great dismay of all my children and most of my colleagues. And I am a Franklin Covey planner girl. Took the training in the 80s, and I'm still on the train, right? And so I found this quote from Stephen Covey. He said, be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender. It's holy ground. There is no greater investment. It reminds me of the Leonard Cohen quote about the cracks are what let in the light. Rather than feeling like you're not enough when that mistake has been made, when that bump has happened, when that failure looms, the really, really tough times when we feel broken down, that's the most sacred moment. Because when we're broken open, we have the capacity to transform. Butterflies, when people open the cocoon for them or their enclosure, they often cannot ever fly. It takes the work of opening the cocoon to strengthen the muscles that they use to fly. The Holy Land is everywhere. Being is sacred. The capacity and the willingness to transform is holy. So this holiday season, here is my invitation to you. To remember that wherever you are, God is. Just like our opening song, wherever you are, God is. In everyone you meet, God is. And in the depths of your own heart and beingness, Spirit is. And this is the challenge if you are up to accepting it. All holiday season, from now until the new year, several times a day, just pause. And whatever it is your eyes fall upon, take a moment of gratitude for the sacredness of that swing line stapler, of that puppy, of that colleague or friend, or your most frustrating family member. Take a moment and remember the gratitude. And so it is. So let's anchor this in some prayer so that we remember. How good it is to be in this perfect now moment where there is nothing else that needs to happen or be or become, and just notice. Notice the divinity in the form of the people around us. Notice the divinity in the knowingness that hundreds more are watching online. Notice this community, this beautiful space that we call our spiritual home. Notice whatever is on our heart and welcome it as a challenge to transform. Noticing that that which we choose to notice becomes inherently sacred and therefore holy. And so I just know that whatever is on the hearts and minds of each beloved within the sound of my voice, that Spirit is already doing the work, doing the healing, moving around the very molecules of the manifest world to create that which is needed for each one's highest and best. So I know just a deep sigh of relief to know that we are not in this alone, not 1 second of our life. I'm grateful to know it all and to call it good, as we say, and so it is.